the meeting today. Yeah.
Morning.
Morning. Hi, Jean. And I'm sorry the call dropped. I don't know what happened.
Well, I figured you got the gist of it, the good news.
Yes, I did. So thank you.
Well, that was the important piece.
Yeah, okay.
Becky? Becky, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, Becky, I just want to let you know, I have a class that Thursday from 3 to 5.
Okay. Well, if we'll see how it goes. If I can get it to work, I'll go. I'll let you know. Okay.
Your place? Your building?
Yes, at my building.
Thank you.
Sure.
Jeannie, you're all bundled up in a turtleneck. Is it that cold up there?
No, it's cooling this morning. It's about it's going to be 60 today, but right now it's chilly. And I apologize, I'm eating my breakfast. I got a late start. We had a
That's
very
okay.
busy day yesterday because we flew back bright and early yesterday morning from Pittsburgh, and got to the Cape around noon, went directly to the grocery store and the post office, then came home. And, so we were running. So I slept in a little this morning.
You had to say hi to all your plants.
Naturally, yes.
You have a special bond with your plants. I know, they're so healthy. Drives me crazy.
You have to talk to them. You have to tell them what's what.
I need to adopt you for my plants.
All right, well, maybe I'll set up a business. You could do that. I could Zoom with them. You could do that long distance.
You could. You just don't get the CO2 exchange then.
That's true. I should show you while we're waiting the healthiest plant you've ever seen. Let's see if I can do this. You see that plant?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
All right. That's a different Bacchia. I think Carol, we gave you one, didn't we? One of my Carol Hepner. Can't remember, but
No,
well, that plant is 56 years old.
Wow.
When Dick and I were first married and living in Cambridge, we had our very first Thanksgiving in 1966. A college friend of his came to Thanksgiving dinner, and he brought me a little Dieffenbachia in a little green pot. And it has grown and grown and grown over the years. We have cut it off, beheaded it at least 15 or 20 times, at least. The last time we beheaded it was when we were leaving Pittsburgh in April of 21. And we, cut off its head, repotted the top, and it, grew new roots. And it was when we came up here in April of 21, it was only about 2 feet high. Now it is at least 9 feet high, and it needs to be beheaded again, but it's done very well.
You've certainly got a green thumb then.
And it has actually bloomed this year. For the first time in 56 years, it has bloomed, and it has bloomed 3 times. It doesn't have fancy blooms, but they're kind of interesting. Anyway,
I've heard that as a fun fact, that all green plants have the ability when they are in their prime to throw off some sort of a blossom.
well, maybe it took it 56 years to get to its prime, maybe. I don't know.
I got one of her babies when she left.
That's what I thought. I thought I gave
I just had to behead it because it got so tall, it fell over.
Well, I'm glad that it is thriving, Linda.
It is. However, Jean has a plant that is so wonderful that the person who bought her apartment tried to negotiate to get it. And it is her ficus tree.
Oh,
Ah, yeah, that's in the other corner.
It is an amazing plant. I tried to grow a ficus though, and it didn't thrive for me. But yours is fabulous.
I don't see Annie Rivers. Is she on yet?
She is not on yet.
Hmm.
What time is it? 9:03.
3.
Hmm.
Just letting you know that I'll need to like step away for about 10 minutes, around 10:15 or so. I have a virtual health call. Hence my voice is still not improving despite
Aw.
antibiotics. My little one, he's finally back at preschool. He's thriving, but I, on the other
Right.
hand, my husband's very concerned. He's like, you don't sound better. So
Okay.
I'll be here, but I'll use my iPad to just do the virtual
Okay.
visit.
Well, hopefully maybe we'll be done by then. And if not, maybe we can get you on earlier in the agenda so you can just step off.
I think there's Annie, I think.
Oh,
Yep.
good.
Yes, yes.
I was just sending her a text. Hi, Annie.
Are we ready? We can call ourselves to order. So good morning, everybody. Happy fall. Glad everybody's able to be with us this morning for our October board meeting. And I'm sure Linda will give a little bit of an overview. We had a wonderful event on Tuesday evening with a phenomenal turnout of students. I think, given that CMU was on break, they have a number of students and board members and guests present. I think we came close to about 80 plus people there. So it was just wonderful. And for Vicky Goskov, who's so thinks to post things, got something, out on Facebook about our event. So that was
Great.
nice to see. So we'll call ourselves to order, and Annie, have you do our roll call, please.
I think she's still
Connecting. Okay.
connecting with her. Can you hear us yet, Annie?
It looks like 1 minute.
She's fussing.
I sympathize.
My
Well, I can-
internet was terrible yesterday for work and virtual calls. I was like apologizing all day.
Oh.
So there we go.
I am sorry. I'm having
No
a
problem.
crisis here.
Well, I can tell from my screen that we have a quorum, so that's done.
Yeah.
Technology is
I-
great when it works, and when you get a hiccup, it's so frustrating.
It is. I normally do not use my iPad. That's what I'm on right now because for some reason I can't pull up my mail on my computer. So may I call roll call now?
Yes, you may.
All right. Ann Crawford,
Here,
Linda Thier,
Here,
Joanne Petros, Here. Angie Mayer.
And she's in New York. She said she contacted, I think she might have sent an email back to Sarah saying she couldn't come. I don't know. But I know she's in and was not able to make it.
okay.
Millie Myers, I know that she has, is she resigned or is she just absent?
she is absent. She's, I think, only given up her chairmanship, I believe, or co-chair of the communications.
Oh, okay.
So-
I didn't realize that.
That's my understanding from from talking with Millie, and I saw an email from her that she wouldn't be able to be on at today's meeting as it conflicted with a WQED board meeting.
So I should leave her on the roll
Yeah,
call.
leave her on.
Yes.
So
All
she-
right,
please.
thank you. Linda Flom,
Linda is, she's at NIH today, so she will not be able to be here.
okay, and Becky is here.
Right.
Anu
Yes.
Verghese,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Linda Burke? Linda Burke?
She's here.
Oh.
She just
She's
raised her
on
hand.
mute.
though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have the,
I was
I
muting
don't
my
have the
dog feed.
full, I don't have the full screen. Jean Burdick,
Here.
thank you. Maria Townsend,
Absent.
all right. Michelle Zorilla,
Here.
thank you. Inez Miles,
I think
I
Inez did officially resign from the board. I think she is, she may still renew her membership, but she did step away from the board.
okay.
please.
Lacey Cowell,
I believe she's going to keep her membership because she's on a national committee. So I think she will stay a member.
Yeah, I need to reach out to
Huh.
her just to see how she's doing.
Lacey Carroll. Lacey,
She's absent.
I think she might be
Alright.
joining a little bit later. I think she had a conflict right at 9 o'clock, but she might jump on a little later.
all right, thank you. Beth Wainwright,
Here.
thank you. Carol Stockman,
Here.
thank you. And then Sarah, I saw. All right, thank you very much. And I do apologize for being so late.
And Carol
you.
Hefner is
And-
joining us as a guest.
Oh, I did not see her.
Carol Hefner.
Okay, thank you,
Welcome,
Carol.
Carol. We always love to have you with us.
Yes,
Thank you.
okay. Then, Madam President, we have a quorum.
Thanks, Annie. Next up is approval
The
of the
minutes.
minutes from August 11th.
May I have a second for the or are there any questions or discussions on the minutes? Okay, may I have a second on the, I move to approve the minutes as emailed?
I think Becky put up her hand.
Yeah,
for
I
speaking.
second.
Oh, okay, Becky,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. It was passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll jump in and give an update on some national things. As many of you are aware, we had our all-member conference last week in Atlanta, and we had great attendance. I think close to 80 or 90 people came. And the thing that I enjoy most about interacting with other chapters is that you learn so much about different ways of doing things that, you know, you assume it's cut in stone. For instance, some chapters give their awards only annually. So they commit to each scholar for 1 year and give them the $5,000, and then the next year they have to reapply and reevaluate. So things that we just assume are like cut and dry among all the chapters is not necessarily the case. So I always find it enlightening to learn and get other ideas about things that are successful in other chapters. So I encourage you to consider many ways that you can get involved through the collaboration networks that gives you an opportunity through each of your area of involvement on our board to interact with other chapters. We have another opportunity coming up this spring because the national meeting is going to be held in Pittsburgh in June. So, and while many of you won't have a particular role in the meeting parts, we want to provide an opportunity for our chapter to interact with the group that is in Pittsburgh. So we'll find some opportunity to do that.
Do we have the exact dates for that?
We do. It's like the 9th and 10th.
Okay.
Like, if I have that correct, does that sound right?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. We're looking at, we've given a couple recommendations for hotels for the members to stay, and we'd like it to be in the Oakland area so that we can take advantage of the various sites and university interactions that would be there, plus meeting space that Pitt or CMU might offer for us. So, so we have begun the process. And I have, I'm trying to twist Carol Stockman's arm to assist in helping plan this event. So she's not officially said yes, but I think I
and I apologize. I was almost, and yes, I would be delighted to help. And I'm thrilled to hear that the hotel is going to be in Oakland, because I agree that that's going to be just critical.
Yeah. And just to reiterate what Ann said, I thought the event Tuesday night was fabulous. Most of you were there. We walked away with, since Pitt did a print of 150 programs, we obviously have an inventory left that, with the scholar photos in them and the nice write-up and summary of ARCs and our history. And I think it makes a nice marketing piece that I'm thinking that personally, I just grabbed some small envelopes. I'm going to use this to just mail with a handwritten note to a bunch of my friends who, might have an interest in joining ARCs as just kind of a, so I have the box of lots of leftover programs. So whoever wants a handful, Becky, I'm going to assume that you and Linda want a big handful, but I'm happy to mail them or to deliver them to each of you to be thoughtful about how you can distribute them. I mean, they won't be good in a year because it's got a date on it and the scholars will be different. So I think we should take advantage of getting them distributed in the next couple of months. So let me know.
It occurs to me that we should maybe ask Shelby from the Tech Council if she wants 20 or 25 of them to, maybe she would be willing to distribute them to the Tech Council board, which would be ideal. Jonathan Kirsting, the communications director, asked me for materials and I emailed him the digital copy of that program, but might be worth pursuing that. Do you want me to do that?
Sure, that'd be great.
All right,
Thanks.
I'll check on it.
I could also use it for our funders who are not ARCS members.
Yep.
A couple would be really good that I could perhaps send to the Hunt Foundation and people like that.
Exactly.
So-
And that group is actually invited to the donor appreciation, but I don't think we had any of our funders come other than Heather from Ioneer.
Right.
So how many would you like, Linda?
Give me about 5.
Okay.
I think we could look to see what our inventory is and then figure out how we want to, like how many for new member recruitment for the Tech Council, so that we certainly have enough for on the member recruitment side and the tech side. So, because I think we probably have about 40 or 50 total.
I bet we have more than that.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
Mhm.
We could probably use maybe 20 or so.
Mhm.
Then,
Yeah.
for starters.
Yep. Anybody else?
check on-
want me to-
I'll check on the tech council today and get back to you with if they want any and how many they could use.
That was a good get, Linda. Lydia.
Mhm.
Yep. So I don't have any other national updates.
Can I do, Linda, do you want to tell everyone about the foundation award and the gift
Oh, that's
from
true.
Oregon and our consultant? Yeah,
Do
this
have
is
some more national updates.
exciting. Yeah.
Yes, we have two big national awards. One we got from a family, and I won't even, it's silver? I won't even get the name right because it's been
Silver.
confidential for so long. This is a personal contact that Karen Ogg had. This family, husband and wife. I don't even think we're members of ARCS, but we're impressed with the works that that ARCS has done. So they have, out of their personal foundation, made a gift or are making a gift of $2 million to national to make a difference. They want to do something transformational, and so they don't want it just to be tucked away in the endowment and not put to good use. So part of what national is doing, along with the strategic plan that we actually had kind of in the works to work on this year, is try, how can we use this money to be transformational? So that was exciting. And then we have another group, a separate group, who has been affiliated with the DC chapter, Danaher Foundation, and they have historically supplied their foundation has supplied 1 or 2 scholar awards to the DC chapter annually. They've been a longtime supporters, and they wanted to step up their commitment to ARCS nationally. So now the DC is going to get about 4 awards, and another 4 chapters are going to participate getting awards. So I think they're going to put in $100,000 or something similar to that on a recurring basis, and hopefully in the future it can expand to include the Pittsburgh chapter, but right now it doesn't. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing that Beth, actually Beth, why don't you chat about, since Emma is your contact, why don't you talk about that aspect?
Thank you. Well, Linda mentioned that National is going through a long range plan, but it's not just National, it's the organization, and it will involve chapters, input from chapters, participation by chapters in the strategic plan. And we have just signed a contract with Emma Gilmore Kieran, who has been based in Pittsburgh for years. She grew up here, went to college, came back and married, and she and her husband were here, but they just moved to Atlanta about a month ago. So now they are right outside of Atlanta in Columbus. She's comes with quite good skills, and I've participated in 2 organizations in which she's led the strategic plan. And so I'm really hopeful that what we come out with at the end of the year is something that will really be transformational for ARCS Foundation. But I'm excited. The leaders of the strategic plan are excited. And Jean, you know both of them, Sally McDaniel and Susan Smith, and they're excited to work with Emma. So it's all good news. Thanks, Linda.
It is.
I think it's important to know that we have 5 Pittsburgh chapter members on the Long Range Planning Committee too. So we're going to be well represented on that committee.
Well, and most of you probably know, but in case you don't, Beth is going to be the national chair beginning next year. So
President.
yeah, of the national organization. So So we're going to have great influence on on what's going on. So, and we all need to support Beth because it's a very complicated organization. So
It seems like Pittsburgh just kicks butt when it comes to representation at national levels of organizations because of another group I belong to as well. Lots of Pittsburgh representation and just doing great things. So
That's a
great
really
job,
good
everyone.
slogan. We should adopt that.
Pittsburgh kicks butt.
I
Well,
think so.
Michelle, to support that, when our chapter was founded and Jean went on the board hasn't been the same since then. I mean, she came in and blew it up, and we have made great strides. So I'll support exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Great leadership skills in women here in the Burgh.
Well, you know, it was interesting because, just so for those of you who weren't around then, it certainly wasn't just me. It was the fact that there had not been a new chapter for 15 years. The Orange County chapter was the most recent, and I think they were like 15 years before us. So there had been no new ideas at the national level for over a decade, well over a decade. And so when Pittsburgh became a chapter and we had new thoughts about how to do things and new ideas and new approaches, that really was opening a window at national for them. So we really were, I think, of great benefit to the health of the whole organization as a chapter.
Kudos to the past, and here's to the future of great things to come. Hey, Sarah, would you pull up the executive committee report that I shared? Went out in the packet. While Sarah's pulling that up, you know, we at the August meeting had noted it was time to do our biannual review of our operational policies. I don't know how the time, you know, went so fast from 2020 to 2022, but here we were. So we, in looking at the bylaws and the policy that we put together on how, you know, policies and things would, you know, that review would be handled. It noted that it would be through the executive committee reviewing it and then sharing the outcome of that review with the board. So the first order of business was to look at the bylaws, obviously, and to you know, put the executive committee together. So we needed 2 directors, and we appointed Joanne as our treasurer and Carol as past president. And then we needed 2 directors at large. And I'm pleased that Maria and Michelle, you know, agreed to step up and support us as part of the executive committee. So just a soft reminder to everybody is those your policies are out. The executive committee has a long list to review, and those are, you know, under review. I've heard back from Maria on her review, and then each of you as committee chair or co-chair, you know, have a policy, and I think there are a couple policies that I'd ask for the two groups to take a look at, say fund development and endowed, to look at policies. So I'll be reaching out to you probably in the next week or so just to get a status report from you, because my hope is that we can have things back to the executive committee so we can see if we have any questions, and then have this as an agenda item, our last meeting of the year, you know, December 8th, that if there are any revisions that the board needs to consider, that we can present them at that meeting. and have that checked off. And then next up will be, a 2023, where we'll then take a look at the bylaws. Because those have, different notice requirements to them. And so that we'll put out to a broader group and see, if there's any adjustments that we need to make on the bylaws. Any questions?
Guess I have one since you're having fund development first. And that is, what are you expecting back from us when you do this?
What I'm hoping is you'll look at the policy that's assigned to you and see if there are any revisions that need to be made. If there are
What-
not, then you can just say.
I'm not sure I understand what the policy is.
Oh, I sent it out it's in our operational, I sent it out as a packet.
See, I don't get emails from ARCs. So it's really difficult. Would you
I mean,
resend?
I can mail it to you, if, and print it and put it in the mail to you.
No, don't do that. Just send me
Okay.
an email direct. When it comes through the email system, I don't get it.
No, it came from me. It did not come through the system.
Okay,
Can you resend it?
Sure.
no, I'll try to find it. It's probably, I'm unfortunately really busy. I'll try to find it then.
Yeah, just resend it and then she won't have to look for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'd be glad
you.
to do that. And then if there are any revisions, Linda, I was just asking people to please use track changes and then send it back to me.
Okay, I'm a little flat-footed because I still haven't had a chance to talk with Missy. So,
Yeah, I think we've been concerned about her.
yeah,
Let me interject at this point because feel free to reach out to her. I've been emailing her. I called her one time. She's very appreciative of your being in touch.
okay.
Last night I got an email back from her. She has bought the Cary North apartment at the Park Mansions, Linda, and she's moving in December.
That's wonderful news.
That's wonderful news, but it really happened very quickly. So on her part, but so she's doing okay. So feel free to reach out.
That's wonderful news altogether. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Jean. I was curious about that and I'm so glad it's Missy. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's, by the way, for all of you, that is apparently very confidential information right now.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
All right, I think we'll move on then to the treasurer's report. Joanne?
Hi. Sarah, can you bring up the Excel spreadsheet for my report? Most of my comments are in the notes on the side, but we're through the first quarter of our current fiscal years. This information is as of September 2022. And on the report, there is information of where we were at fiscal year end, which was June 30th. And
Hey,
where,
Joanne, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think we're still, at least I'm still seeing the
Okay.
executive committee report.
Right.
So if you can just give Sarah a moment to
okay,
get
Oh,
that.
sorry, hold on, thought I had this. Right. Okay, weird.
It's like it froze for you.
Okay, yeah, hold on one sec. It's yelling at me. Okay,
Oh my.
that's all right. It's
I
coming.
never want your computer to yell at you.
Okay, is that
There.
working? Okay.
yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, so the first part of the spreadsheet shows the income for the first quarter. And again, I'll just comment, column I is September, and that's the first quarter of our current fiscal year, as opposed to columns E and D, which are the prior fiscal year ends. So in total, we had income of 18,486. That is depressed by the fact that we are still seeing decreases in the market value of our investment portfolio, which is shown there at a loss of 6,311. But other than that, everything else is pretty much copacetic. One of the two highlights in the income side right now is that we have gotten a $5,000 award, compliments of PNC Foundation in honor of Anu and Viju Vergis, which came in September. So that was really great news. That was a really big bright spot. And
I'm going to interrupt there because
sure,
this is an issue. I didn't know about this. And
I noticed, Linda, the letter was addressed to Missy.
well, the problem is they probably haven't been thanked because I didn't get it. So will somebody see that I get the letter?
Yes, I can send it over. It was,
I mean, this is the problem I'm having. There's so many disconnects that I really need this information. So if somebody could, okay, send it to me, thanks.
Sarah, did that come to the post office box?
Or did it come to you, Anne, directly? Now I can't remember.
No, I think it came to the post
Okay.
office.
And-
Okay. So
Yes, maybe I had it. Yeah.
sure Linda
Okay.
gets those
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, somehow or other, I have to be in the chain to get this information. So we've got to work out a process here to make sure that I get that type of information so that I can relate with the donor, at least thank them. I'll bet they haven't been thanked.
Linda, my apologies. Sarah and I have been trying to work on when who gets on the email distribution when member checks come in and a thank you goes to the member to be sure to include the membership committee. If something comes in on either the named award or the endowed, to make sure that the right people, and this to make sure that when the thank you goes out, an acknowledgement that we got the check, that it gets over to you. So some of that is just working through, transitioning and orienting. So my apologies, but we can get that to you today.
Okay.
Okay. So we had another big bright spot in the current quarter. There was a birthday celebration for Beth Wainwright, and I guess all of the people that came made a contribution to ARCs in her name. So we raised almost $1,000 for Beth's birthday. So that was a pretty nice birthday gift. Thank you.
Yeah, imagine what it would have been like if she'd really been old.
Oh, Jean, I'm gonna get you back for that one.
I guess no surprise, Beth turned 80 and the contributions were all $80. So it was really nice. Anyway, okay, so income is fine. We would love to see more members renew. That needs to be scrubbed for the next, couple months here. Some of this is a little bit of a mismatch because some people are still making pledges that include dues. And so there's a little bit of timing issue on some of this, but we did see a number of the people that had been, or that are endowed award members pay their dues or make additional donations in the first quarter. So that was a really good positive thing that we moved to being more definitive about the dues, and that endowed people that are making endowment payments, which are usually made in June, are also making dues payments in the summertime to show their renewal of their membership. So that's coming into the system, and we have we raised $8,820, and that's on line 13. So
Joanne, do you have a sense, do you or membership have a sense of having 50 renewals at this point in time, at the end of September, I guess that is, and how does that compare with pre-COVID years? Is that on track?
Actually, the membership renewals are above what they normally had been in the past
Good.
2 years. I think I have 61 renewals at what I counted out. That's not but that according to the past, and explained to me that we're actually ahead in our membership renewals. But we'll have to keep working on it. There are 44 outstanding
Yeah.
grace period renewals, I think, at this point.
And some of those are the named award donors and endowed. So we need to separate those out. I've asked Sarah to send me, a spreadsheet of the members so that I can help Becky to filter out and we can look to see, what's left, because still a number of our named award donors, their annual payments are set up through their IRA or some contribution fund for November and December. So we know they're coming in, with that. So Becky will have some more detailed information to work with and then see if we need to, on the board, if there's ones that we can help with outreach to nudge them along over November and get the money in.
The other interesting thing about the results year to date that is interesting and a little concerning is that for the 50 people who renewed, you'll see the computation on line 4 that the average contribution is $364, which means that because of the blending of endowed folks who are renewing at 175, their membership, and other members who are coming in at the 500, we're not even averaging our 500 yet because we have so many people that are weighted to the endowment pool, as well as we have a couple of renewals that were scholar alums, so they get a discounted rate. So when you compare our dues line to our donation line, we've got 8,000 in dues and 9,500 in donations compared to what we budgeted. We were budgeting a lot more than so the people who we need to tap to get renewed are the people who are full members that can pay at least the 500 or hopefully more. So
Just to clarify, that
Yes.
line 4
yes,
does not include dues, right? That
that does
line
not
4 is
include
only
dues.
scholar award
Correct.
donation.
That's the amount above the 175. So
Yeah.
People who've only contributed 175 because that's their obligation if they're an endowed award member, all of that money goes on line 13. Correct.
Right.
I just want to comment that I think that fund development has a role here in that we might be able to increase that by the end of the year, because I plan to make an appeal to have people upgrade their memberships so that, for instance, if they're a basic member, I'd ask people to consider being summa cum laude or something like that. So I think we have a chance to increase that basic level. I'm not really sure what's happening in the initial membership process, whether we're encouraging people, and Becky, you may know, to give more than the minimum amount.
I really have just focused on the membership, getting them to become members. And I've been a bit of a soft sell. I didn't want to overwhelm people or new members by, because at this time at least the new members that I know, I was really thrilled that they would consider $500. So
And actually, I agree with that approach. And that's why I think it's necessary to make the subsequent appeal.
yeah.
And hopefully I will do that after the November program. Is there a November program? I think there is scheduled, is there not?
I think that Pam hopes to have the another Ioneer program in November. I didn't see a date on the news report for that, but
Well, I just wanted to interject that, Linda, and then I think we can fix some of that, but it won't be for a few months.
I think that's a great idea, Linda, and also to think of how to tailor it up so that if they aren't able to do something at year end, but capture it in, for the next membership renewal. And
Actually, that's what I hope to do. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
I'd like to make a comment about line 14, the pledges members dues. I know that I have paid my dues, although they were paid in June, but so they should be on this line item. And I'm wondering if there are other similar pledges, people who have paid their dues that are up in the other line as opposed to down here. So just something to look at going forward.
From an accounting standpoint, we record the dues related to pledges at the time of the pledge. So technically, all 3 years, if you're on a 3-year pledge, get recorded on that line, on line 14, in the year that you make the pledge. And we haven't had any new pledges yet. So your payment of your pledge, which does include 1 year of dues, is sitting on the balance sheet as a receivable. And when that payment comes in, we reduce the receivable. So we've already recorded your pledge, your dues income. And I realize that's a little bit of a mismatch, but that's
a great explanation. Thanks. Yeah.
So you're saying, Linda, that her dues that she paid in June was recorded like 2 years ago? No.
Yes. Whenever she made the original pledge.
Yeah.
And this was technically for Olivia Parks, where we took over in her second year. Does that make a difference? I guess whoever made the first original, I don't know. I don't understand it, but whatever. You got it.
Is Charlotte with you on that pledge?
Yes. And Janet Wood. Yes. And we're
the two people that I wanted to look into because they were both showing as Grace.
right.
And I thought they assumed a named award.
Well, we did, but we didn't technically sign any contract. We're just assuming the amount of funding for her.
But we need to make sure that they're not showing as Grace. They should be current.
Yep.
Well, they haven't paid their dues, so they're still
it'll be part of their when they make their payment.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Has to check with them.
yeah, okay. I'm making notes here for Sarah, and I can. We've got a couple things that we need to, follow up on.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that too. I think between Sarah and Beth and maybe Ann and I, we've got several items in there to scrub in the database that came through in the last quarter and maybe some that are, and definitely on the pledges, what's showing in the database is not matching what we're showing in the financial statements, and we need to sync that up. And some of it is pieces of pledges that haven't been accounted for. I mean, Marilyn Brushy has $405 outstanding on her pledge. It doesn't make any sense. So anyways, there's some things that need to be cleaned up. Okay, so now if we go down to the expense side, there hasn't been too much in the first quarter, except we paid national dues. That was $3,570. And coming up in the next quarter will be the first scholar payments and the chapter portion of the endowed awards won't happen until next June. So there's not a lot happening on the expense side. Sarah, if you would raise the scroll up a little bit. Okay, so you see our expenses have been pretty low for the first quarter because a lot of things haven't happened yet. So let's go over to the brief income statement or balance sheet on the next, down further. For me, it's on the next page. Scroll up. So you can scroll up some more. I'm sorry, I should say scroll down so that the assets are at the top.
And I think you ended up on the September or the June tab again. You need to go back. There you go.
Okay, on this page, we have a balance sheet. So our assets are still very strong. I will figure out some of the other things, but I sort of separated out the different bank accounts this time because it was harder for me to keep straight what was going on. But you can see we have $290,000 of cash in various investments. So the last two, the Fidelity and the T. Rowe Price, are subject to significant market fluctuation. So that can go up and down. Pledges receivable net is 11,382. That's the remaining outstanding pledges. And we have one grant come to the third year. I think it's the Forbes Forbes Way, something like that. Anyway, there's another 5,000. We got 5,000 in, no, it's still to be received in the current fiscal year. So then under the liabilities, we have Scholar Awards payable, which is where we've committed out into, for the next several years on the Scholar Awards. And we have on the next line was the payables, which we saw at the last fiscal year end. We've since moved that to income because that represented people that became members at the end of the year. So we held them off the membership dues paid for the last fiscal year and put them in having paid their dues for the current fiscal year, because we had a number of people join in the last couple months of fiscal year 22. And then the rest is essentially our equity situation of restricted assets, unrestricted assets, and net income. So we're balanced at total assets and total liabilities of roughly 307,000. And then the rest of the, if you could just scroll down a little bit. Okay, I just wanted to show changes, and I can verbally just talk you through some of this because we decided not to put all of the information in on the part that's highlighted. But the 107 members, I took off what's on the database. If you just go through the membership directory under the first part of our website. So that we had 107 people listed there. The pledging members, that's the 6 open pledges. And then if the endowed members, there's actually that number should be 23 because I miscounted, but because 2 of us, myself is one and Paula Zwicky, are both still in a pledging situation and an endowed situation. So I didn't want to double count them. So actually the endowed members should be down to 23. But Jean announced the other night, we've got more. So that's great. So we will have more. The gray numbers are all budget. So, that's not so significant, but you can see we've been increasing the endowed members over the last couple of years, which is wonderful. Minimum contribution, everybody knows we raised it from 475 to 500. I don't know why it says 476 there. That's a typo under 22. And then the average contribution for the member was up where Linda put it up further in the member dues was $364,000 or $364. I decided to add how many scholars we're supporting because I think it's useful for us to understand this shift to an endowment funding does lower the number of scholars because a lot of the money that's going into these pools is not re-upping for named award people every year. So I apologize, but if you go back to column D, if we would put a number that's comparable to that 31, in fiscal year 21, we had 34 scholars. And in fiscal year 22, we had 36 scholars. This year we have 31 scholars. So that just gives you a little bit of a view as to how our financial picture is shifting around over the last couple of years as these endowed award things come on. And that's really all I have to say. Anybody have any
Joanne,
questions?
I have a question about line 62. Maybe it's because you have it listed as endowed members instead of endowed member pledges or endowed member contributions or something, because I think the number 24 is really more accurate. I mean, there are 24 members who are involved in endowed pledges.
Correct.
And
It's actually 25.
well, with the new one.
Well, I think I counted 25 even with.
Well, you're counting Frederica. She's not a member.
Oh,
So there are 25 people involved in
Okay.
endowed pledges, including Frederica, who's not a member. So there
I
are
see.
24 members who are involved.
okay.
And I would leave it at that, because when you say 23, that's really not the number of endowed contributors.
Okay. What was the situation with Frederica?
She moved, but she decided she wanted to leave a legacy, even though she was no longer a member of the organization. So she joined a group as an endowed member, as an endowed contributor, I should say.
Okay.
The other interesting thing about these numbers, when you look back at 21 and 22, so combined pledging members and endowed members, we had 37, and then we had 35, and now we have 30. So somehow we've lost some people in the cracks here. Linda Burke, we need to figure out who those are and either get them as an endowed member or as a pledging member again.
That's exactly what my problem is I don't have enough information from Missy to know who she solicited. I met with Jean and the rest of the endowment committee, 3 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to figure all that out about who's been solicited for what. For instance, I know that Susie Dorance's named awards run out this year, but I don't know where Missy is in the process of resoliciting her. And it's that type of thing that I need Missy's information and I don't have it yet.
It's kind of interesting if you combine the two lines, then you have in column D, 27 plus 10, 37. In column
Right.
E, 35. In column F, 36. And this year, so far at least, 30. So we were pretty steady for those 3 years, but there definitely is a drop off here.
Yep. And to Joanne's point, pledges help immediate, those dollars go out immediately to fund scholars. And so, so that has contributed to the shift has contributed to our drop off of how many new current scholars we are offering. So. Anything else, Joanne?
No.
It should do that for 5 years and then we should be back up. And it's the funding period that causes the drop off.
Yep. Good point.
Okay, I think we're able, if there aren't any other questions, we can move on to committee reports. And Becky, you're up. And you want Sarah to pull up your written report or?
Well, it's just basically, I'll do membership first. And as far as membership goes, Linda and I, with the help of Carol Hepner, had an outdoor patio gathering, about 12 people. We had 2 great scholars, thanks to Michelle. And we had, I can't tell you, Michelle, they were so personable. It really was a joy.
I'm so glad.
to see them.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry I
and-
also missed Tuesday because of being sick too, but
Yeah.
I'm so glad the scholar events are working out. So
Yeah, so what I don't have reported is that I'm trying to put together another event in 2 weeks, on November 3rd. I approached several scholars at the event and they were real enthusiastic. So I could send them an email and touch base with them. If I could get 2 scholars, then
Yeah.
my thought is I reach out to like 6 or 7 members to see if they have a guest they want to bring,
Mhm.
and I keep it small because this one will be held here where I live in Oakland. In the condo, there's a party room. And so we could have it down there and feel relatively good about it being, not real closed in. I'm still concerned about COVID, particularly since they're predicting a surge. And I thought that this might be a good way to maybe if we could, hopefully we would get some guests who would come with our members and try to do the same format. And then I looked to Linda and I thought we would not then do another membership social until next year, probably. But so I'll let people know. I haven't really, my goal was to go to the donor appreciation event and try to recruit some scholars, introduce myself and then now I have to reach out to some members that I think might have guests. So if anybody on the board has someone they've been thinking about inviting to learn more about ARCs, it would be Wednesday, November 3rd from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., the same type of format that we had.
So Wednesday is November 2nd.
Oh, Wednesday's November 2nd. Oh,
Yeah. So
well, okay.
I'm
well,
just
then-
looking at my calendar.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I got it.
That's
Then
okay. Is it the
I think
second?
it's Wednesday. I think it's on a Wednesday, but I'll double
Wednesday,
check
okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Becky, I had a conversation last night, whenever that was. Tuesday night.
Yeah.
With our speaker, our wonderful speaker, Yvette. And she was so excited about ARCs. And she said that she had not known about the organization prior to having a scholar involved in ARCs Foundation. And she said, I know that there are most of the female faculty at Pitt or CMU would be in the same boat with no knowledge that there is such a thing as ARCs Foundation. And she said, reaching out to the women faculty at those universities would be a really good thing to do. And that she would be happy to be helpful in that regard. So I suggest, first of all, that you get her as a member. And and on your committee to reach out to the other faculty at both universities.
Okay.
I mentioned this to Linda Thier right after I talked to her, but I think you're the one who's this would be in your wheelhouse.
Right. Well, one of the things I am a little bit hesitant about right now with our members is that it seems we've had a lot of participation in our nursing ARC scholars. And I'd like to kind of broaden that out, particularly to the new schools, the environmental science and the engineering at Pitt, and then also to CMU. And we seem to have a lot of women and not many men right now, which 5 years ago, I think it was the exact opposite. We only had one woman.
Well, she wasn't talking about the nursing faculty. She was talking about the broad faculty across the universities. Yeah.
Yeah. And Lynn Porter had that thought as well. But I don't think that she ever was able to make that happen, but
Well, you have a volunteer in Yvette,
Yeah.
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll follow up with her.
And maybe we could send her again the electronic version of the program, and then she can use that to seed an email invite to other women faculty members. And maybe we could do the same thing at CMU.
We
Yeah.
remember that we also have a brochure that talks a lot about ARC's membership, and that has an electronic version as well. Do you have that, Becky?
I have the brochure but the backside of it is now outdated because the membership level of joining, they've gone up. But that's, I do have some brochures, print brochures for that.
You don't have the online version, because with the online
No, I
version,
don't have the online
you
version.
could take off the back page.
Okay, okay,
So let me see if I can find it and I'll send it to you.
okay.
Can you distribute that to everybody on the board, Linda, please? Because I don't think I have that handy either.
Okay, that was done.
It's a nicely done brochure.
It was
Right.
done the year I was president, so
Yeah.
It might need some facts and figures updated as well.
well, it probably will, and I don't know whether we're able to do it because, well, let me send it and we'll figure it out.
Okay.
And Becky, it's Ann. If it, I was hoping that November 3rd was the right date. I'll have to check to see, because I do have someone that's interested, but I
All
think
right.
the Wednesday conflict. So I was
Oh,
excited
okay.
that it was Thursday, the 3rd, but but anyway, I'll check and let you, if it's the 2nd, I'll need to check to see, but she's a young enthusiastic, like I don't know, 35 or 36-year-old.
And Becky, let me know if you have trouble getting in touch with any of the scholars, even though you introduced yourself, it should be a little easier, but if I could always ping them on Slack as well. So it just
Okay.
a heads up, you will be expecting an email or a phone call from Becky
Yeah.
from ARC. So just let me know.
Okay. Okay. You're right, though. I did Wednesday's the 2nd. Thanks for pointing that. I can't believe
Is it actually the 2nd? It is the 2nd? Because I want.
Yes, I think it is.
So is it definitely on
I'm not
Wednesday?
sure. I'll have to check. I'll have to check and see when I reserved the room. I thought in my mind it was on a Wednesday, and I don't know how I got it that it was the 3rd.
So it's either Wednesday, November 2nd or Thursday, November 3rd.
Yes.
Becky, have you given any thought as to how we're going to pursue the people who haven't renewed yet, who are in this grace period?
I didn't want to start getting in touch with them until later, until November. I didn't want to do anything before November.
I think that might be a little too late.
I think so too.
I think we should give
Yeah.
people maybe.
Should we send out, how about if we sent out a blast email to all the members, reminding them if they haven't paid their dues, now is the time to do it. And that that might be a way of jogging people's memory.
I think we can sort, Ann and I were chatting about this with Sarah. I think we can sort our list to figure out who are the people who haven't renewed yet, who are on this grace period. We'll sort out the people who are incorrectly on grace. And then if you could draft a cover letter that you would like to go to these folks. And then I think we could also attach the electronic version of our program from the other evening to again show all of these great scholars that we're supporting. So that would give them a little boost. So I think we should do that now, not November.
Okay, all right.
Becky, generally, I chase down people that I have sponsored. So what might be a good idea is to send the list and we'll volunteer also to follow up.
Right.
I
I think
mean,
we should
sometimes
do, I think we should do both. I think we should do the email blast.
Yeah,
And then I think that would be great. I think we should send the list as well. And then if you see one of your friends on this list who haven't renewed yet, then you can send them a little friendly reminder.
So
Uh-huh.
Sarah and I will work on that spreadsheet so we can filter it out, do some
Okay.
investigation. And
Okay.
then we can send the spreadsheet out of, particularly on the current members at large that are in Grace. And if there's
Uh-huh.
any endowed, members that haven't renewed, we'll have them separate. So we can figure out what's the strategy for that group. How's that sound?
That
You
sounds
wouldn't
good.
want to, you wouldn't include the endowed members, you would get in touch with them individually, is that what
That's
you're
what my
saying?
thought would be, but I think we need to check, and see if that approach, works, because they have the choice of whether they're staying a member or not a member. We could
Uh-huh.
have
I'm-
those.
It's my intention to send an email today or tomorrow to the endowed donors, because a number of them were not able to attend on Tuesday night. So I will send them an electronic version of the program, and I'll say, by the way, if you haven't paid your membership dues, please do so, just as a blanket reminder, and then we can follow up with them individually
Okay,
when I have the names.
okay.
That would be great, Jean, thanks. That would really be a great start to the endowed members.
The only one that I remember seeing on the an aged spreadsheet was it Evelyn Silberman, and her payment just came in. So I don't even know, Jean, that we have any endowed members that haven't paid. But I can that sounds like a
I'll
plan.
just cover, just make a blanket statement to cover all bases, right?
Okay.
And then thank them profusely for paying the ones that have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Becky, one more question. Have we given any thought to the handful of new members that we have now? How can we get them engaged, either through, particularly if they weren't able to make the donor appreciation, can we invite them to participate in a committee? Can we have a little orientation of some sort? What kind of material can we send them? Do you think they would like to see to kind of get them involved so they don't feel like they've just paid their dues and we're ignoring them?
Uh-huh. Well, I think that the woman that joined after the May event, your friend, Linda, who is
Mhm.
that? What was her name?
Gail Harger.
Gail Partner. Okay. Is she interested? See, I haven't really given that much thought into I know the two members that I brought on board. I've tried to pay special attention to them. They have received materials about ARCs, they and then they came to the donor appreciation event. The other, I'll have to go through and see other newest members that,
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe it's as simple, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I think it's
Oh,
just
no.
something, I think it's something we need to be thoughtful about so that we cultivate the connection with these newer members. And in the case of Gail, since I did solicit her, I've been reaching out to her before every event to see, can I give her a ride? Can you come? She hasn't been able to attend, but maybe it's as simple as we need to make sure that every one of these new members has a kind of a mentor from the organization that can be sure they're invited and included and feel welcome and engaged.
Okay.
I like the idea of an orientation, maybe just a a Zoom meeting that we could have, and think of like tasks that we know that are coming up, that a singular activity, like the June event. You know, we may need people to, you know, be a tour guide or I don't know what all that's going to involve, but if we said, you know, can you be on standby? We've got an event coming up, or something else, just to see a small task that we could give them that might then lead them into wanting to join a committee or to on an event. I was thinking, you know, for programs, it's been hard to get it, but if we know that something's coming up in March, and asking if one of them would help at the reservation desk, or just a greeter, or just something that, you know, if you to ask them to do just a task or an activity that might get them more engaged.
Okay.
Actually, when I was membership chair, we tried doing the mentor thing, and it didn't work. Basically, the people that should mentor these people are the people who attract them, as you have done for Ellen and your other new member. It's the people that know. And so I will just warn you that if you just assign people, it didn't work, at least when we did it.
Oh, and Anu says she's needing to leave.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have anything additional to add to her report.
Okay.
Thank you, Anu. How about Michelle? Should we jump to Michelle next, since I know she said she had to jump off?
Sure. Yes, I had my report up here. So we completed orientation for all of the new scholars except for one. So we've spoken with her and we're going to schedule that. There was a miscommunication. The email kept bouncing back. We finally got her CMU email, but she said she attended the event, or at least was planning to attend the event on Tuesday. So she at least got to meet other scholars and members and is involved, and she was super concerned. But I told her not to worry. Now that everything's in order, she's still in good standing. The new scholars have been added to the Slack group. I'm going to take the scholars whose scholarships are over and make them an alumni channel within Slack. So if they want to still communicate, that way they don't need to worry about having to see the other posts that I put for current scholars and being confused, wait, does this apply to me or not? And that way we kind of keep track of them and able to make messaging easy with them as well. All scholars, their profiles should be updated online. At least we ask them to update. If there's anyone that's still pending, please let me know. I can reach out to them. And then anyone who was unable to attend the event on Tuesday, we asked them to please reach out to their named donors if they had a named donor. So a couple of them had questions about that. We've clarified whether they were named or not. They would definitely know if they had a named donor. Hopefully most of them did that. I will make sure to send a reminder out, because I know, as I told the new scholars during orientation, if it's not for our members and our donors, there wouldn't be an ARC scholarship really for them to have. And so I know they are, our donors and members are very grateful to hear from the scholars. So we made sure to make that clear to our, especially the new group coming in. And since we're going back to some in-person events, to please make the effort to connect. So yes, we still need to nominate. I think Maria sent some suggestions, but I'll double check with her.
Did.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Ann.
No, Maria did send some possible suggestions for the student. And I think we have until November 20th.
Okay, it says October here, but that's fine.
Is it October 20th? You know what, you might be right. This is where I need some help, is I don't know what the step is, you know, on you know, do we?
I'm not sure either. Maybe
So
we can,
this-
I'll
so
look
this is-
into it.
So this is for the hall, the National Hall of Fame for ARC's alumni. And there is a very impressive list of people who have annually, the national organization honors one of the ARC's alumni who has continued to do great things in the science community. And so they're looking for all chapters to reach into their alumni database to nominate somebody. Carol.
And I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm actually chairing that committee for national. November 1st is the due date.
Okay.
All applications are sort of formatted the same. Pittsburgh actually had somebody who was inducted into the Hall of Fame, Jean Van Briesen, in the first couple of years. And we just may not have that many to nominate, given that we're still such a relatively young chapter. But I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Well, she put
Sorry,
in,
I'll be right back. My doctor visit is starting. I didn't mean to cut everyone off. Give me 1 minute. I'll be back. Thank you.
Okay.
So Maria sent over the two suggestions, one from CMU, a Dan Wendland, who started a new company, is Sovalent, a new generation on Linux networking and security. And she has some information. And then from Pitt, scholar Prince Awa, who now works for the FDA and is a commissioned officer in the FDA working to protect public health from tobacco products. So, but she didn't know what the next steps were.
Ian, why don't you forward that to Carol, and then Carol can evaluate whether these folks are mature enough in their research or their accomplishments to be worthy of nominating.
Prince certainly is not. I know Prince. I mean, Prince was a scholar back when I was president or shortly, and he is great. But just in terms of his age and what he's doing, I don't know that that's worth pursuing. The one thing for us to note is that if we do prepare and submit a candidate, they remain a candidate for the next 5 years or so. And so it's nice to do the work and prepare them. It's not just for 1 year. It does sort of, carry on.
And I did just forward that email to you, Carol. Is there an actual application?
Yes, and the email that National sent out should have a link. The other thing I can do is National has been really concerned about making sure that all of the applicants are formatted in the same way in terms of, page limit and how the CV is structured so that everybody's sort of on a level playing field. It would also be easy for me to forward to you last year's sort of group so you can sort of read and see how they're presented.
Yeah, if you get that to me, and then I can get it over to Maria and Michelle.
Well, and that will also be a big help in terms of seeing where our candidates are in terms of, middle of the pack, whether they would fit in.
Right.
And then I don't know if I see Michelle's picture there. I don't know if she's back on or not, but maybe we'll wait until I see that she's reconnected. But I wanted to remember, and Jeannie, you can help me remind me to follow up with Michelle on this, with the fact that the Shelby from the Technology Council was doing a great job of connecting with the scholars. So we need to continue to nurture that relationship and have the scholars figure out how, and have us figure out how to best make that connection.
Yeah, I will make sure that I talk to Michelle. I also noticed in the Pittsburgh Quarterly, and I don't know which issue this was because I just, I ripped out the page and now I don't know what issue it was. And you may be aware, but I wasn't aware that there's a program called the Pittsburgh Passport that's being sponsored by the Allegheny Conference. The woman who runs it is Linda Topoleski, Vice President of Talent, Strategy, and Programs at the conference. And the mission of this group is to boost the scientific and technology labor force in Pittsburgh. And I thought it might be worth a conversation with her to let her know about ARCS Foundation, because one of our missions, of course, is to get these people to stay in Pittsburgh and enrich the science and technology base. So anyway, does anybody know about this program?
Never heard of it.
No, I hadn't either. It's a 3-year-old effort that seeks to retain college grads in Pittsburgh. Anyway, all right.
Could I comment, though, that I would like us to keep an eye on Prince. One of the things that obviously he brings to that is diversity. And it would be great if we had a diverse, by that I mean Black, Asian, whatever, candidate that would enhance our diverse efforts. So just try to keep that in mind.
Well, if there's a 5-year horizon of looking at it, it gives him an opportunity of aging and getting whatever experiences needed.
I'd never heard it actually referred to as an opportunity of aging, but that's good.
Do we want, just from a timing perspective, to just hold scholar relations and move on to nominating, and we can pick up when Michelle comes back in?
And really, as far as nominating committee goes, we had our first meeting on Monday via Zoom. And it was basically just to get the band back together. We're going to be, Bev Elliott and most of the nominating committee was at the event on Tuesday. And so we haven't set a date for our next meeting. It'll probably be in early December, I would think. And then we'll begin the process. I listed the offices that are going to be open, and there are a lot of them. So, you know, anybody that wants to re-up in their, you know, position, please, and if it's open, please let me know, because that would be great. I talked to Maria Townsend, and she, in scholar relations, she said that she would prefer if we could find someone for the next term. So you know, I'll actively be looking for that. So too.
Is
Any
she
questions?
interested in another position?
She says that because of her work, it conflicts with the board meeting times, and she doesn't feel, she's been active on the board for the past 6 years, I think, and she thinks that probably if she can roll off, that would be okay with her. I don't think she is, but you know.
Okay. The other position I think is more urgent than others is programs, because we've been trying to have a co-chair for programs that could learn with Anu, because Anu has made it very clear she doesn't want to renew, I believe, unless she's changed her mind. And I think to have somebody work alongside of Anu for the next 6 to 9 months before she rolls off, I think it was, as we all know, that's very helpful rather than just jumping into a new position.
Right. Well, it seems like we ought to pair that person, whoever that would be, with Pam Meadowcroft, because she's the one that's that has these programs that are coming up.
Right.
I think that you know, and Pam has made it clear that she does not want to chair anything. She's happy to be out there, and she is a worker bee, and she's, you know, but she is not looking to chair anything.
Well, and the challenge that I would raise with Pam is that it's singular in what eye and ear foundation, and it's not the
Well,
broad.
I think she's also arranged a program through CMU. She was telling me about that.
Actually, I'm
Is
doing
that it?
that.
And Linda, you're doing that? Okay.
Yeah, there are going to be two programs. I think they're in a news report, but we're
Uh-huh.
going to do one on the science of implicit bias at CMU in January, and we're going to do one on basically how one develops an interest in science and immigration and inorganic chemistry in March with Sharon Feng, who is the director of all the laboratory research at Pittsburgh Paints. And her
She is an
story
ARCS
is-
member, isn't she?
Yes, they're
Yes.
both ARCS members. Jody Ferlizzi's doing the one. And by the way, I'm trying to find a date right now and I need to connect with Anu, but all in all, we helped Anu with those two programs. And then Pam was doing the Ioneer one.
Yeah,
So we
right.
have three, and I think we are looking now for one for May. But a lot of us have been helping, and I think if you're interested, if we can get people interested in programs, a lot of us are willing to help. We have contacts, we can figure out and help. So I hope that we can encourage somebody to do that.
And I wonder if we're at the point with post-COVID that we could start doing some lab tours of some of our scholars' activities. That has always been a fascinating program that would be a direct connection with our scholars. I don't think we have anything to report on communications.
I have a plea. I have a plea.
Okay.
Communications is with Millie needing to step back because of her commitment over at WQED, pulling the newsletters and articles together. Right now it's been, well, this last one was primarily you, Linda, so that we do need, some help. And in talking with Millie, it was really more, not necessarily an editing skill, but was keeping track of due dates and deliverables and content, and reaching out to people to say, need something for the newsletter. And we want to certainly have one for the end of the year to wrap things up 2022 and looking to 2023. So I think if there's any interest, or if anybody on the board is willing to help out us in the interim, but that is an opening that we need some help with too. So I would just put that as a plea.
Could I ask a question? Did a newsletter go out?
Yes.
I really wish there's some way I could be informed. Anyone who has an AOL account doesn't get ARC's mail. I'll try to find it in my junk. But I mean, I think I know of at least, I had to talk with some people that I think may re-up on a named award because they were irritated they weren't getting emails. So I've done everything I can do on my end to try to whitelist AOL, or whitelist ARCs to AOL. When did the newsletter go out so I can try to find it in junk?
It went out when we were in Atlanta.
I don't think
Just recently.
Yeah, just recently.
Yeah.
Sarah and Beth, can we take this offline and try to resolve and figure out who else in our mailing list is on AOL that we can do a separate mailing for if this is a continued problem?
Yeah, it's AOL's problem and unfortunately becomes our problem. So that's a good idea, Linda. Make a separate list and try to remember each time anything goes out from our chapter.
Right.
To separately. Yeah.
I know who 4 of them are, but there are probably more.
Okay.
The other thing related to communications, I'll just mention quickly because we've not been able to identify somebody from the Pittsburgh chapter to participate on the national, it's called the National Editorial Board, but really what it is they're looking for for each chapter to identify scholars noteworthy of being highlighted in the national newsletter. So all of us, when we have connections with our scholars who we're supporting, or Michelle and Maria, when they are interacting with our scholars, or we hear great presentations as we did on Tuesday evening, to the extent that you see or think that one of our scholars is noteworthy of being recognized in our national newsletter. And we just recently had somebody, I won't remember her name, Beth, but in our national newsletter, somebody from Pittsburgh was featured. So we should continue to be alert, and until we can find somebody to actually represent us on this committee, then we'll just have to do it individually. Linda, do you have anything else to add on fund development?
I think that the report itself and the comments I've made should indicate where we are. So-
Okay, I'm just trying to move through this in the
Right.
sake of time. Lacey, you're still with us, and I appreciate you joining. Can you want to comment on university relations? We didn't give you a chance to talk yet.
Sure. Just a quick comment. Our university partners approved and that all of our current scholars qualified for their funding this fall. So there was no hiccups there, or even questions to resolve in terms of grade point average. So everyone's doing very well. And this year's site visit is going to be Carnegie Mellon. And I wonder if we're in the spring, if we're in a good place with COVID, and also looking for using our site visit for recruiting, and particularly for endowment recruiting. Maybe I could loop Pam Meadowcroft into the planning of the CMU site visit to see if that we could make it more. A lot of other chapters in the country use site visits to kind of reward members who are very active or giving extra money. And I think endowments definitely qualify for that. So I wondered if you all thought that was a good idea. It is Pam who's doing the endowments now, or Jean, are you still?
I'm just doing it.
Oh, you're still doing them. Wasn't Pam mentioning that last night then?
Pam was speaking from the perspective of being an endowment donor.
Oh, I see. Well then, Jean, you.
Except I'm not in town.
I know, but would you see that as something?
I think it's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, you invited a broader group last time.
I did. I invited everyone, but I thought that if we're doing actual in-person site visit though, where we're going to tour labs and see something, I feel like it can't be that large.
Well, one of the things that I'm hoping, one of the things that we're hoping will come out of the National DEI Committee, but I think that we have the opportunity to do it during our site visit, is to ask demographic questions, perhaps in advance, to have them answered about their diversity, about things of that type, college, university-wide, particularly in their graduate programs. And I'll try to put together a list of questions for you.
Great.
Because I think that there is no set list of questions. We can, emphasize anything we want. I think that we will be re-looking at the site visit form, but I don't think it'll be reformatted by the time you'll do your visit.
Okay. All right, great. So I'll take it. I made a note of that, Linda. I think that's a great idea. And Jean, for endowments, I'm not saying that you need to meet with me in person, but maybe we can talk about who you're working with at the time. And I did want to follow up the Pitt Departments of Geology and environmental. What do we have? We have geology, environmental sciences, civil engineering, and environmental engineering. Did you secure an endowment for those, or is that still in the works?
I don't think we have an endowment for any of those particular programs at Pitt. I'd have to go back and check if there were any restrictions.
The endowment in honor of Tim and me is for geology and environmental science.
Oh, is it? Okay, thank you, Linda. I'd forgotten. Okay, yeah. So there is
Because
one.
that's, we wanted to get those fast because someone wanted to support something other than medical.
Well, if you look on the program from the other night, the listing of endowed awards specifies, I think it specifies, maybe it doesn't. I will send you the specification of all restrictions. Okay.
Great. I just was curious that if that, you know, came to be, and if that was successful, because just to follow up, but that's
Okay.
it for
Yes.
me.
Lacey, I don't know if you were on the call when we were talking about membership, but one thought that came up is our speaker on Tuesday, Yvette, was so impressed with ARCS, and she had the brilliant suggestion that she could reach out and connect with other women faculty members in our departments who might be interested in membership.
That's great.
So can you work with Becky to figure out, communicate with Yvette, figure out how we might approach those women and whether that should come through Yvette or from ARCS, and how we could leverage that relationship to help our membership?
Great idea. Absolutely.
Good idea.
I'd be happy to.
I'm sorry, I'm back now. Was there anything else
Yay!
you wanted to continue discussing, or we can do it afterwards?
No, well, what we wanted to follow up on is at the ARCS event on Tuesday, Shelby was there from the Pittsburgh Technology Council, and she was chatting and handing out her business card to many of the scholars. And so we wanted to see if you've had an opportunity to help facilitate any connections with the activities at the Tech Council.
Not yet. So I'm actually going to follow up with them now that this event's done, and she actually was starting to speak with some of the speakers. I think that's important to grow that relationship. We do have the event calendar, which I shared with the scholars some time ago. I think it's always good to send them a reminder if there's something in particular that stands out to them. So I'll make sure to do that. I'll make a note to remind all the scholars, plus the new scholars, now that they've gone through orientation, to take a look at the events calendar so that we can help get them to some of these events that might pertain to their research or just of interest. And I can reach then back out to Shelby. So yes, thank you for the
Great.
reminder.
Thank you.
Oh, and the other thing, Michelle, while you were gone, was with the national newsletter looking for someone to represent on communications. It's really a scholar focus where they're looking to be able to publish information or highlights of scholar activities, a particular scholar. And I was wondering, how we can, connect and have a, representation, on that national committee.
So I think it's just a matter of asking any scholars if anyone's interested. Would they want just one
No, we need someone from the board.
from the
to-
board? Oh, okay.
Doesn't
And
even
then
have to
that
be from the
person
board,
would then-
just a representative from Pittsburgh to be able to be knowledgeable about scholar activities or scholar accomplishments newsworthy on a national basis that we could
Oh.
feature. And so maybe you would like to be that
Sure.
person.
That's fine.
They meet 4 times a year, and they're looking for newsletter ideas to feature scholars from around the country from all the chapters. So
Yeah.
we just need somebody who is close enough to the scholar activities that so great. If you would be interested in doing that,
Sure.
that would
Just put me in contact
fabulous.
with the group.
Okay, great. So that leaves us program, I believe. And and a new left, and I know that Jean ran through, what's coming up in March and then January. And so I think we're good on program.
Did
And
we
then-
want, not to throw another thing onto a news plate, and so especially since she's not here, but a virtual holiday gathering? between scholars and members.
Hmm,
I like that.
yeah.
We did
Doesn't
that
even feel
last
worth it. Save
year.
money that way. Everyone brings their own goodies.
And cocktail.
Just a thought. Especially since the scholars seemed really excited about interacting with members and donors.
Oh, and the other thing we talked about at the at Tuesday's event was just a low key. You can tell my age. I called it a pizza and beer gathering, and then
Sounds good to me.
and then no, but others they really like sushi and
Really?
but just a really low key for the scholars from both universities,
Mhm.
to get together where there wasn't any pressure to speak. It was just a chance for them to network and have some fun, and for us to just be the hosts to get it together, but no pressure with it. And if we could find an Oakland place and to do that. So I think that was something we were trying to do, to figure out a way. This seems like the scholars still feel the need post-pandemic of having that opportunity to cross support each other.
Mhm.
Yes. I definitely found that. And especially for the second and third years, they started during the pandemic. So they've
Mhm.
never really had that interaction like the past groups have. And this new group is just brand new. And so I feel like we can really make some nice collaborations or just gather connections for them to interact and support each other.
And the other thing I think I just mentioned to plant a seed now that we're coming out of COVID is, would there be any scholars who would be willing and interested in opening up their lab work for a tour? Because I think that would be a great program. We used to do those years ago and we haven't done one for a while. And I think that's always of interest to members. So think about that as well.
Actually, May would be a good time to do that. That's where we don't have a program scheduled yet.
Then last but not least is Beth for.
Well, National is going through a website refresh project for the national site. So I think some of that's going to flow into our site, and it's getting increasingly difficult for each chapters to refresh their own websites. People just don't have the skills or aren't interested. There are now currently, I think it's 4 chapters now that are paying us ASG to update their website. I'm talking about the content part of the website, which is different than the database part. So our website does need some to be refreshed, and it's a work in progress. But please, if you've got information that you can send, such we need to get Annie's picture and the write-up about Annie from the newsletter, which we can get. The scholar who was in the annual report, we now have access to that. So, or soon will, things like that, or anything that you can think of that's happening with the scholars or at our universities that can be of interest to our general membership. But I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Sarah and I were talking, and there seems to be a real problem with even getting postings, on where we and she's working with someone at the national, I think.
There are glitches that happen.
Yeah, so
and
we haven't been able to get our
unfortunately,
newsletter up, or an updated report as an attachment. So I know that it'd be great to get things in, but we need to make sure we can get them posted.
yeah, those are glitches. And actually, I have to say, within the last month, there seem to be more glitches than there
Yeah,
have
that's
been.
exactly what Sarah said.
But we're going to update eventually over the course of this year, update to a newer platform, the same platform, but a newer one, and it should be easier. But in the meantime, we have to work with what we have, and hopefully get some things. I don't know, Sarah, did you want to add anything?
Sorry. I just got an email from Sue last night that I think they've fixed the latest solution, so I will try today.
Good.
I mean, they're responsive. I just think they're busy, so I will work on it.
Keep trying. I do have a question that really doesn't relate directly to information strategies. As I hope you all are aware that National has formed collaboration networks for functions within chapters. And I'm just curious, how many of you have gotten involved with the National Collaboration Network in your area, such as university relations, scholars? Oh, good. Becky, you have with members? Oh,
Yeah.
good. Oh, good.
And
That's
I
really,
think they have a call set up for next week, I think.
yeah, I think it's a great way that it helps understand what's going on in other chapters for your responsibility on the board. So I'm pleased that, and Michelle, I'll get in touch with you because I have some interesting things about Slack and what's going on with potential, and Linda knows this also, Linda Burke. So
My
yeah.
husband also is a web designer.
Oh. Good to know.
Oh my gosh, did he know he just has some new
He apparently
Yeah,
has
does
very
he do
good
volunteer
hearing
work?
today. He's in
New
the
pro
office next
bono.
door. He's like, if they need some. He's a web developer, my bad. So, and so
Wow.
yeah, depending on what Nationals is looking for, he might be able to work with Nationals to revamp the site. But we could certainly chat about that.
Have you
Okay.
developed a workaround for the new charging system? Or are you okay with material disappearing after 90 days?
Linda Burke is talking about Slack, and that was something I was going to ask you, Michelle. There's a new charging system with Slack. Are you aware of that?
There is, I have to look into it for my regular job too. But from what it seems as though it's in the past, Slack was, if you wanted anything past 10,000 messages, the old messages would disappear. It was rare, even for like a team that uses this every day, to even reach that number. It was difficult and took a long time, right? And it's rare that we need those really old messages. As of right now, the way we're using Slack, one, we haven't been charged because it's pretty quiet. The chapter for the scholars are pretty quiet. They use it more to contact me if they have questions and when I have announcements, right? But that doesn't mean that they don't talk amongst each other. But I'll look into that pricing, but I would not be concerned if something from 90 days back disappeared. It's usually announcements, right? And if there's a reminder, I usually put it back up on there anyway, just saying, hey, this is coming up, or don't forget about this. And so if it was something that I posted 3 months ago, and needs to be readdressed, they usually need a reminder anyway. They don't go back and look. So
Michelle, I think we shouldn't talk about this anymore, but what you're doing is very relevant to something the DEI committee is doing. So could I contact you?
sure. And my husband just sent me a link. He says, apply for Slack for nonprofits discount. We offer workspaces
it's
for
still too
250 or more
expensive.
members, a free upgrade, and an 85% discount for workspaces above that size. And so we don't need that. We don't have that many people on there, but again, I'll look into that. Don't worry. But sure,
Okay,
go ahead,
great.
contact everyone. Just contact me about the different things.
Jeannie, I didn't mean to jump over you. Anything new on endowment that you haven't already shared with us?
Yes, actually, I do want to expand a little bit. Those of you who were there on Tuesday night are aware that I announced a new full endowed award from Amy and Keith Arner, which I'm very pleased about. I'm working right now to negotiate with Carnegie Mellon. Keith is an alumnus of the School of Computer Science, master's degree in computer science. So their preference would be A, for this award to go to CMU, B, for it to be specifically at computer science. And if it doesn't go there, then they'll they'll send it to Pitt. So I've been negotiating back and forth with Cindy Crimmins at CMU in terms of getting them to do bridge funding, which they had, stopped doing across the board. And she has approached the deans, starting with computer science dean, to see if they would be willing to do the bridge funding. She came back to me and said, Mellon College of Science is willing to do the bridge funding. I went to Amy and I said, are you willing to have your award restricted to Mellon College of Science? And I hadn't heard back from her. And I told Cindy that, we needed to get Amy's approval to restrict to Mellon College of Science, because that wasn't their first choice by any stretch. And I think the fact that I questioned it caused Cindy to come back to me again and say, well, what we could do is do Mellon College of Science for the first 3 award cycles, and then make it unrestricted. We already have done that with, I think it's Christy Gukin's award is set up exactly like that. So I thought that was an eminently doable and fair solution. And I have presented that to Amy. I have not heard back. If she's willing to accept that solution, then the award would go to MCS for the first 3 awards, and then it would be unrestricted at CMU. If she's not willing to do that, then it will probably go to Pitt. So that is yet to be determined. I just wanted you to all be aware of the negotiations that were going on.
Tell me what you mean by unrestricted. You mean it could be used for non-science?
No, that the university could choose which approved departments, which ARCS approved departments,
Okay.
all right, rather than have it be predetermined. Yeah, definitely. The other thing that's happening is that we have an award in progress for next year, an endowed award for next year. And it would be a group award, and one of the group wants to, she wants to commit for next year, but she wants to do her initial payment by December 31st of this year, so she gets the tax benefit this year. So I've got a call. We have a call with Chris Davitt at Pitt this afternoon to work out a creative solution that allows her to do that. So I just wanted to let you know that things are happening behind the scenes. That's it for me.
What do you mean by next year? Starting in 23 or starting in 24?
The scholar would get an award in September of 24. Yeah, so this year would be somebody who signs a gift agreement by December of this year and makes their first payment by June of 23. Next year makes their first payment by June of 24. That's it for me.
That's a lot.
I've got to run for another 11 o'clock Zoom meeting, but I think our next meeting is scheduled for December the 8th. Question, who would like in person? Who would like it to stay virtual? Any preferences?
Well, I certainly would prefer at least a hybrid model.
Yeah, hybrid works too. Yeah, I'll be in Florida, so I'll definitely be joining virtually if
Okay.
it ends
Yeah.
up an in-person
I,
event.
I prefer virtual.
Okay, we'll stick with the virtual. I think we had a lot of great discussion today and a bunch of things that came out. So I think it would be helpful, Anne and Sarah, if you could kind of put together a task list of here are the action items that are coming out of this meeting, so that we all, we don't have to wait for the minutes. We can start working on these to-dos immediately. I think that would be great. And anything else?
No, nothing else, but lovely to see so many of you on Tuesday night. It was such a
Yeah, it was
pleasure.
great.
I really loved it. Thank you.
Very
Well,
fun.
actually, and one other thing that that I casually observed and mentioned in my remarks is I think next year is our 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we need to give some thought as to how we want to celebrate.
Yes.
So next meeting discussion. All right, ladies, I got to run.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.